Hello, this is Dr. Biondi from PanicStoppers.com. Today I'd like to talk about the epidemic of panic attacks. The first question is there or isn't there an epidemic? Do people have more panic attacks nowadays than they did in the past? One theory about that could be that now we know how to diagnose panic attacks. And in the past, people had panic attacks. They didn't even know that they had them. You just have, everybody's got an aunt somehow who just never went out. And so it's possible that she secretly, quietly suffered from something like panic attacks. And her doctor considered it neurasthenia or mild depression or something like that. And so on. It's possible that many alcoholics were self-medicating for panic attacks. And so it's possible that some people had panic attacks. But it's also possible that nowadays a lot more people are experiencing this kind of phenomenon. There are also societies in which panic attacks are very rare, almost non-existent. So what could be some of the explanation for this? I met some young people in college who were perhaps from Idaho. Okay, they grew up in a community in Idaho. By the time they were to college, and they were about 20, their parents had split up. Their mother had moved to Maine with her boyfriend, and their father had moved to Florida and had remarried in Florida. There was no base, there was no home base where this young man at 20 could go. Perhaps he went to see his mother for Thanksgiving, perhaps he went to see his father for Christmas, but it was in a totally new place. So again, there's no base. Now, the neurology of panic disorder is based on a mechanism that would trigger panic when the animal is separated from the herd, when the small youngster is separated from the parents. This is designed to keep us attached. It's designed to keep us caring for each other. It's designed to keep us protected. Now, suddenly, we're supposed to be okay moving into New York City, for instance, in a college, and sleeping in a dorm with somebody that we don't know, trying to get a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and listening to courses, studying and functioning, and there is nothing that supports us, nothing below. There's no safety net. So that's probably one mechanism that could trigger panic attacks, in that we have nowhere to go back to. There is no group that reflects our identity. Essentially, for millions of years, we have evolved in small groups. We are made to live in a small village. In a small village, you're born, you grow, you get old, and everybody knows you all the time. So your identity, who you are, good or bad sometimes, even the stereotyping, even the prejudice about who you are, is constantly reflected to you. In a big city, nobody knows who you are. Nobody cares who you are. That's good, in a sense, if you want to be free. But there is a kind of rarefaction of this reflection. There is a kind of loss of feedback. Nobody cares if you live or die. Nobody cares if you dress well or if you dress inappropriately. Nobody cares what you do. That translates into freedom, for sure, but it doesn't translate into love. And we are made to feel love. We are made to need love. And so that could be one explanation for the mechanism that triggers this panic. It's an alarm mechanism. It's something that says there's something wrong. I've lost my herd. I've lost my way. I don't know who I am. I don't know where I am, really. Physically, we know where you are, but we don't know where we are. in a existential sense. The other possible explanation is that in the course of our lifetime in the famous village, we would perhaps have one volcanic eruption nearby, or one flooding in which some people would die, or somebody would be attacked by wild animals. But that would be it. For most of our lifetime, we would have a certain amount of sameness, a certain amount of tranquility and peace. In our living room, we are constantly bombarded by detailed news coverage of disasters happening in Bangladesh, or a tsunami happening in Thailand, or a volcanic eruption, or a terrorist attack, or a war. And we see the mother carrying a dead child. We see people in the hospitals. We see the doctors tending to wounded persons from this disaster. And we have two choices. Either we care, as we're designed to do. We're designed to be caring. We're built for that. And so if we care, how can we care every night about a new disaster? That's a lot of anguish. Or we don't care. But there's a price to pay for that too. Because that means that we disconnect from a fundamental affective structure that is built into us. And so as we learn to not care, we also learn to disconnect from love and connection, which is the whole thing about panic attack. Panic is the flip side of love. Panic and love are connected. People who have anxiety and panic are more loving and more connected to others, more caring than most people. So they're the more vulnerable to this type of violence. It's a real kind of violence that we do to ourselves. Our society forces us to adopt a level of mobility, a level of aloneness and isolation. We're all each living in our own little studio apartment. Our social contacts are on our telephones, on our smartphones, and we connect with others through likes and blips, little pokes, and that's all. There's no touching, there's no feeling, there's no connection, there's no love. So the people who have panic might even be the healthiest ones, the ones who rebel to this state of things, the ones who have something alive in them that says, that screams, no, this is not right. It could even be that. And yet they are patients. They are medicalized. They're medicated. Well, they have to be. They're not well. They suffer. But it's important to remember that they might be the ones who are still connected to the way we're supposed to be. I'd love to hear what you think about this. But the idea that people suffering from panic attacks might be the healthiest people alive today is sort of a provocative thought. And I thought I would share that with you. This is Dr. Biondi from panicstoppers.com. Stay connected. I will see you soon.